That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Vivarium, which will be available on VOD March 27th, 2020, courtesy of Saban Films.
Who directed this?
Lorcan Finnegan. It's his
Lorcan?
Lorcan. He's Irish.
I like that name.
It's his sophomore film with his screenwriter Garret Shanley. Their last film was 2016's Without Name, horror thriller that I have not seen. That film premiered at TIFF. This film premiered at the 2019 Cannes Critics Week, and it won an award.
Nice.
And I remember it was being a very buzzy title to have Jesse Eisenberg starring in a Cannes Critics Week film.
Okay. So explain the story.
Well, do you know what a vivarium is?
Medication?
No, it sounds, or a procedure. It sounds like it could be one of those things.
Okay.
No, it's an enclosure that is that's like subnatural, partially natural, semi-natural, to observe or study pets in experiments or things, like kind of like an aquarium or a terrarium. Those are both examples of a vivarium.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, yeah. This is about a couple, Tom and Gemma. Gemma is played by Imogen Poots.
Where do I know her from?
Oh God, all kinds of stuff. She's in the new Black Christmas, which I guess you haven't seen that either.
What have I seen her in?
I don't know. I'd have to think.
Okay.
Centurion? No.
Continue.
Anyway, she's a British school teacher. She seems kind of happy-go-lucky, and she's her boyfriend is Jesse Eisenberg, Tom, who's a gardener, and the two of them have decided to find a place together, and they visit this home development center that they've seen advertisements for on billboards called Yonder by a very creepy office manager named Martin, played by Jonathan Aris. Shows them to this a home in the midst of this development community that looks like it's clearly green screen, but I think that's supposed to be the point of it, where all the houses are drab and look like Monopoly houses, and then they discover they can't leave. And they get stuck there indefinitely. And a baby arrives in a box on the doorstep with a note that says, if you take care of this kid, you'll eventually be allowed to leave. and they do. And the kid kind of grows exponentially, and it ends up being really creepy and starts out to kind of look like that office manager that showed them to where they are. And then the film ends up being kind of a metaphor for how we fall into gender roles and define what gives us meaning to our existence.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's really about it.
All right. So only you saw the film.
Yeah.
I didn't. I watched the trailer. It looked very interesting.
It is very interesting, but
So when they go to the housing development and the agent shows them the model home, they pass. Right.
I think they were very put off by the behavior of who somebody had compared him to Crispin Glover, which I would agree with.
So for how long did they drive around before they realize they can't get out?
Till they run out of gas.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they can't leave. And
they're in a panic.
They're in a panic, and they end up they're like, I guess we have to stay the night here. And there's food in the house, but nothing has any taste, nothing has any smell. They often make visits to the house or to the car because it has the smell of something. He discovers, because he's a smoker, and he throws a butt into the yard and it burns a hole into the yard, and he starts a daily project of going to work by digging a hole deeper and deeper into the ground that goes nowhere. Meanwhile, she starts taking care of this very fucking creepy kid who...
Wait, so how long do they know how many days have passed, or...
No, I don't...
So time is not relevant?
No, and they're not aging, but the kid is growing, so like it'll segue to a different scene, and the kid's like a pre-adolescent, for instance.
So at the point where the baby gets dropped off, have they lost their minds?
Kind of. I mean, they're still having sex and they're romantically involved, but it's kind of like they just accepted that this is their life, which I think goes with the metaphor of the film, of what suburbia is.
So when the baby first arrives, how do they receive it? Like,
in a box?
No, but I mean, like, are they happy to see the baby?
No, not really. And the kid is super creepy. All he does is mimic what they say in their voices.
Like from the jump.
From the jump.
Oh.
So but she starts. Eisenberg's character starts to lash out at the kid by trying to lock him in the car, because if he doesn't get what he wants, he just screams. But her maternal instincts were led to believe kind of kick in, and she starts to actually kind of mother the kid, even though she really has no feelings for it.
So the child's growing up very quickly.
And then he grows into a young man, and then spoiler alert, Jesse Eisenberg ends up passing away. And then...
Do the parents appear to age?
No.
So we really don't know how much time has passed.
But I feel like the film is kind of predictable. Once this kid starts to look like that office manager, I think you can predict the end, because of course they don't ever actually get to leave, and the boy that grows up in the house gets to be the next office manager, and then it ends with a new couple coming to take a look at.
So they don't have neighbors.
No one's there. It's not. He even climbs to the roof, and there's just a sea of houses. But okay, so an important part that happens. It opens with Imogen in a classroom teaching kids how to be a tree, and there's a very telling sequence that's, I think, kind of the map key for what the film is doing. There's a bird's nest where a bird is hatching, and a baby bird gets knocked out of the nest and it dies, and a little girl from her class is like asking what could have happened, and Imogen Poots says, well, it could have been a cuckoo bird, which are birds that kick other babies out of the nest and lay their eggs there, and then another bird has to take care of it.
Okay.
And she's like, that's how life is sometimes. And the girl's like, well, I don't like how that is. So that's kind of what's happening here.
Okay.
Which also made me think of John Wyndham's classic sci-fi novel, The Midwich Cuckoos, which of course was turned into Village of the Damned.
Oh, okay.
But the concept of the cuckoo, I think, is very...
So when Jesse Eisenberg's character dies, what does the wife do?
Well, he gets sealed up in a plastic bag.
By whom?
By the son. There's this bag arrives that it gets like vacuum sealed into. And then it's a very Kafkaesque film, but then things get very surreal, and it ends up being made clear through in its own fucked up way that she's just stuck there in this void.
So there's no resolution. It just continues.
No, like I said, but it's very predictable how the finale is to me.
Okay. Because the kid grows up to be the next agent.
Office manager, yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But so it's interesting, but again, it feels very Twilight Zone-y, and it probably would have felt better as a Twilight Zone film, because these characters aren't... Tom and Gemma aren't really characters to me. They're stock types, and the performances are fine. Especially Poots is given a lot of room to work with in anguish, and I like her. But again, there's nothing we really learn about these people, except for they're just stuck in this surreal situation, and it would have been much better as a segment of something, I think.
Interesting. So what would you give it?
2.5 out of 5, I think is fair.
All right.
It's about an hour 40, and it does get a little tedious, or if they kind of tightened up the middle segment, because it gets very repetitive. They're doing very repetitive things.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.